in if additional people are going to join. Good ERPA's presentation on leading practices for PeopleSoft Selective Adoption. My name is Peter Kotrubis. I'm Senior Vice President of Operations for ERPA. ERPA Group was founded in 1999 by 3 PeopleSoft consultants, headquartered out of Dublin, Ohio. Our core values are the acronym for our name, ERPA, and those stand for empathy, responsibility, passion, and agility. Our corporate office, again, is in Dublin, Ohio. We have satellite offices in Tampa, Florida. We're an Oracle partner specialized in Oracle Cloud, PeopleSoft, and business intelligence. We have been an Oracle Platinum partner, but as that structure's gone away, now we're a services partner. We boast the largest PeopleSoft-centric workforce in North America with over 500 US-based directly employed consultants specialized in PeopleSoft. That allows us to run the gamut of all functionality across all the pillars in finance, HR, campus solutions, CRM, and beyond, and both also cover all the technical aspects of the application. We've done over 1,500 successful projects, over 250 upgrades, and many implementations of Oracle BI applications and other product sets within Oracle BI as it relates to PeopleSoft environments. When we talk about ERPA, we've got a few services we provide, and we try to cover the comprehensive needs of our customer base, which starts with managed projects. That has to do with implementations and what we used to call upgrades, but now, POM image upgrades and maintenance within that. And then module add-ons, which is the majority of the project work we're seeing these days. It also includes people tools upgrades. Then we have management consulting, where we'll do system assessments and help build strategic roadmaps, and then organizational change management. Then we also, one of our bread and butter and our prize services that we tout a lot is our managed services, which starts with application hosting and then includes things like service level agreement driven break fix support. We'll manage and function as your help desk, and anything related to PeopleSoft will fix it. We also do POM management, custom development, and then we've got some specialized services we created over the last 3 years that was a result of listening to our customers and what they needed around testing as a service and fluid as a service, then also disaster recovery, which has been part of our portfolio for a long time, and then security as a service. Lastly, we also offer our consultants as individual subject matter experts, what we coin as consulting services. Today's agenda for PeopleSoft Selective Adoption is going to be to review the PeopleSoft Selective Adoption process and the related components, because it's a collection of components within PeopleSoft. Then we're going to talk about organizing teams and processes to regularly deploy new functionality as you update your POM images and your people tools to take advantage of the PeopleSoft innovation. Learning objectives today are to understand the PeopleSoft components related to selective adoption, develop a strategy from reactive to proactive PeopleSoft organization, and then develop a roadmap and set schedule for adopting features and functions. To talk about innovation in PeopleSoft, often in my travels we hear that PeopleSoft is stagnant. It's a product set that's going to be going away, but I can assure you that we have a large customer base that's not looking to get away from PeopleSoft. And while this is a little bit outdated, as of going from 9.1 in the latest version of 9.1 to the current version of 9.2 with 8.5.4 tools or 4.3 tools, there were 667 featured enhancements for HR, 808 for finance, 297 for supply chain, 170 for CRM, and almost 250 for campus solutions. And then within people tools, a bunch of new features, and then with portal. We're going to do an analysis where we compare the feature set from the first release of 9.2 all the way to the current image for HR, finance, and campus solutions, just to show again that the innovation is continuous and very high volume, so where it's something that it can get away from you, and it's part of the focus of what we're going to be presenting today, and the importance to stay ahead of this and create a proactive approach. Again, illustration of the new features and functions. So this is just continuing to grow and go up and increase in volume. What we're finding, again, just doing a reference to cloud feature components, is that with the cloud products, there's a lot of new features and functions that are being developed as those products continue to evolve. And what we're finding is those product features and functions are finding their way back into the on-premise applications and driving further innovation in the on-premise app. So it's nice to see that the difference is that often those features and functions find their way into the on-premise in a slower, cadence. PeopleSoft Selective Adoption, what is it? What it is, it's a process for customers to select different features and functions for the product. I'm trying to figure out my screen here, apologize for that. And selecting changes as you want to versus being forced into selecting things as a part of major upgrades as it was in the past. This concept is actually made up of a collection of tools that are incorporated into PeopleSoft. That includes Change Assistant, PeopleSoft Update Manager, the PUM, and then PeopleSoft Testing Framework, and the Data Migration Workbench and Usage Monitor. PeopleSoft Selective Adoption, again, is this collection of tools. Change Assistant is just a standalone application which helps orchestrate the process for updating your system. The Update Manager, or the PUM, is just a collection of the database images. PeopleSoft Testing Framework is the test plans and test scripts associated with testing the application and the new features and functions and the old ones too, and automating that process. Data Migration Workbench is a configuration management tool which is used to orchestrate the updates as they occur across all of your ecosystem, including dev, test, training, prod, and beyond. We know folks that have upwards of 5-6 environments per pillar for their applications, and that's going to be unique for each individual customer in our experience. Some have more and some have less. Usage Monitor, provides information analysis on the coverage for PTF. Key concepts for selective adoption. Oracle changed the availability of PeopleSoft updates from a periodic mass data dump to a continuous delivery model, and then made those things more available more frequently so that they could be adopted, so you're not looking at major upgrades. Now the features and functions are delivered 3 to 4, even more times a year. You can get those new features without upgrading. There are no more upgrades after 9.2, just PUM image updates. And then there's some work, as I did a comprehensive selection of finance and all the modules, HR, all the modules, campus, all the modules. And then I picked, I didn't pick the first release of 9.2 or 9.1. I picked the second image release of 9.2 to the most recent image available. And then I'll show you that. And then from there, you run the tool, which we're going to look at together. So again, here you can see all the product sets across here. I selected Campus Solutions. Then I brought over all the modules within Campus Solutions. And we'll look at this live once we get through the presentation. So I selected version 9.2 image 8, and I apologize, that doesn't match the spreadsheet that I'm going to show you. I have image 2 through image 12. And again, this doesn't, I apologize, I didn't update that because it wasn't important, because the analysis I'm going to show you is current. Then you generate the report. From there, this report can be exported to Excel. It's a little bit clunky for me because it's CSV export, and then you got a lot of formatting to do. Call me old-fashioned, I like to do a screen scrape, dump it into Excel. Kind of gets me ahead of the curve in terms of the formatting. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. It's all personal preference. But you can see here, this is for campus, but we'll look at others. For academic advising, for this Delta, there was one change that required minimum version of PeopleTools 8.5.5. The rest is truncated, but we'll look at it further. And then there's a further drill down from here with detailed documentation around each one of these features and functions. When I did the analysis, let me go back, for the image of HR, Campus, and Finance from release version 9.2 image 2 to the current, I found 259 features and functions that were new to the newest version compared to release 9.2 image 2 in Campus, 675 in Finance, and 635 in HCM. And then again, you can see how they're broken down by module. And then what we would anticipate is that this might be something that your IT liaison is doing the upfront initial analysis, serving it up to the business unit for distribution to the functional leads for review. Then they can go into the detailed documentation of the new features and functions, and then hopefully have some visibility into what's been customized in their system, in your system, so you can go through a decustomization review consideration process to eliminate anything that's been customized. Of course, a lot of you are chuckling that those resources aren't available to do that, but certainly think it's worthwhile, even if those are only temporary roles set up in a cadence every quarter to review these things and stay ahead of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing anything with it, but staying ahead of it and reviewing it. And again, like we said, it's broken down by module. I know, being specialized in higher education and public sector, that not all my customers or clients use academic advising. Many people use third-party products and services outside of PeopleSoft where they don't enable that functionality. Same thing within finance. Not everybody uses all the modules under the sun. So this process becomes a little bit easier depending on what your portfolio and footprint looks like. And the same thing within HCM. And certainly if you don't have a global presence and require global payroll, a lot of those, buckets there come off the table. Again, we looked at this quickly, but there's a plan, features, and enhancements page that you can go and look, and that's by product set. It's a technology page, one for each one of the product sets. So you can take a look from a functional perspective, and then certainly, of course, from a technical perspective as to what's in plan, features, and enhancements to the system. This is the PeopleSoft Update Manager dashboard, which rounds out our review of the 5 pillars, we'll call it, or the 5 areas that we look at to give us visibility into these updates. And this gives you the database bug status, bugs by tag, bugs by product, bugs by image, enhancements by image, and a number of things quickly for your review. And I just kind of listed them out here because the image was so small, I didn't expect that you guys would want to read it even if you could. And again, what I try to do is create a link for each one of these pages at the bottom of the presentation so you have the direct access, and then I did test all those. And I want to mention that. Why did I test them all? Because what I found is that I've done this presentation at a couple different forums, and it's been popular because this is a kind of it's a new step process, even though it's not so new anymore to us. Often we find that it's just something that still needs to be caught up on. But the point is that a lot of these links change. So don't be surprised as you start going through and setting up a process for review and of these different things, that you'll find that some of those links change over time. Fortunately, what I found is most of the time when I go to a link that I had been using for access, it gives me a message that says, hey, this is no longer valid, but here's another way to get there, and then they get you over to the new, the same place, and whatever the new flavor is served up. So guiding tools and deployment strategy, the organization's in control. You decide what to apply, when to apply it, and pick and choose. That goes with the tax and regulatory and security and critical updates and the people tools patches. Low cost, high impact value is what we, most of our folks focus on. And then other features and people tools upgrades every 12 to 16 months. The questions come up often, and we always recommend that you're staying on the current version of the people tools. It's debatable. It's not one size fits all. It's what's right for your organization based on resources available and budget. Guiding tools for your environmental release with that PUM Manager homepage and the PUM Manager dashboard. And then here's something we mentioned loosely, but for us, that selective adoption PUM image review process could look like this, where you have the Oracle PUM images released. It goes to the IT liaison as far as, you know, kicking off the process. And we, in our view, we see this liaison, this person doing the upfront analysis to capture, you know, the information in a spreadsheet, including the detailed documentation. And then showing that or notifying the business unit of what they found. And that gives the business unit and what I broke it as a business unit / functional module lead, because again, as we saw, it's broken down by module within the application, within the pillar. Then that person possibly could say, is this a new feature that I'm interested in adopting? No. Then we go and that gets exited, and then the question's answered and it comes off the table. If it's something that we do want to review, there's a possibility that might go before some steering committee, because in our opinion, you need to have a broad, comprehensive view across the pillar in the application to understand what the PeopleSoft strategy is big picture, because we all know that you're not going to just implement things at the module level without looking at it across the entire application. Plus, there might be some codependencies across functions within the application that would require you to adopt something else somewhere else in order to enable it within a module. So again, possibly a steering committee that's a clearinghouse to review those things and look at it big picture, and then make the look at, in addition, because we anticipate the steering committee would have business units and some technical representation, where we could look at the technical interdependencies of what would be required to implement it, and then say, is this a feature that we want to adopt, yes or no? If the answer is yes, then it goes to, you know, IT for review and technical, functional and technical interdependencies. And then, you know, we request the detailed requirements around the, you know, from the business unit. Because again, even though this is a feature you've decided you want to implement, and that's been decided by a steering committee, and big picture has been looked at, they still got to go to IT. They still may require some additional detailed functional specifications around exactly how the business unit wants to deploy that feature and function. And then they can review the detailed requirements and then add that to their next PUM image planned update. Additional to that, one of the things that we had here was there was a review request featured adoption. We thought one of the definite things that has to do is come out and look at the customizations retirement review as a part of this, and then come back in before the question is answered. That process is, you know, so I apologize, I did this quick this morning. It's not that eloquent, but it's meant to illustrate a point that once the selective adoption PUM image is being reviewed, then we need to come in, and there should be some identification and catalog of all the PeopleSoft customizations in your environment. Then we can come in and we can map that, you know, to a business process to make sure that the customization is still valid for the current business needs, and it's not something that was done a long time ago that is no longer really necessary. Then we can say, is there a new feature within the features and functions of the latest PUM image that replace that? If the answer is yes, then we just add it to our new feature adoption and move on, and it gets scheduled as part of our updates. If no, then we have to ask a few more questions. Is it something that we could manage through configuration or a business process change? Again, towards that spirit of going vanilla, which we all know is pretty much impossible, unless you implemented with that in mind to start with. If the answer is question, you implement the configuration of that process change and you move on. If not, is there some type of will this customization stand alone? Meaning, can we build a bolt-on, which will be minimally invasive to the delivered application, and make our life a little easier for retrofitting that bolt-on versus dealing with the customization? If the answer is yes, then we feel that you should probably move down that path. If no, then is there a least intrusive option? And there's some new features within People Tools and PeopleSoft that allow you to implement things in drop zones, and it limits the impact to the PUM and future changes. And again, we'll have some folks on my team available to discuss that further. If the answer is no, then we retire those customizations and move on. So again, I apologize. There might be a little few reconciliation issues. I think I needed to reconcile this coming back in. I did it up here, but just meant to show you that there has to be some type of business process. We prefer these swim lanes to show all the different roles. This has a 4-role function. I'll be happy to share my templates with anybody if you don't want to go through creating these swim lanes. I'm sure there's other ones available out there. What's the conclusion? The conclusion is the selective adoption process works for maintenance and feature updates. That successful organizations understand the PUM and establish a process to take advantage. And the features available to the customers every quarter. How do we help people with their selective adoption strategy? We were conceived and built over 20 years ago by PeopleSoft consultants for the sole purpose, intention of providing support and services to PeopleSoft customers. That has not changed. We, again, boast the largest PeopleSoft-centric workforce in North America, if not globally. We're not aware of anybody that has more resources in PeopleSoft than we do, with 500 US-based directly employed consultants. We can help you develop a transition strategy from a reactive organization to a proactive organization. We can help you develop that roadmap and a set schedule for adopting features and functions. We do this in a managed services capacity for application PUM images, fixes, and features, and custom development. We also have full managed services for People Tools upgrades. Mentioned earlier, we do the hosting and everything. We also have security and testing automation services that also kind of round out that adoption process. That's the end of our presentation there. What I'm going to do is go back into presentation mode, expand out my little toolbar here. I'm going to release some poll questions. And then as we release those poll questions, I'm going to exit from here and take you into some of the actual pages that we're referencing. So I'm going to go through these quickly because really what I want to get to, again, PeopleSoft selective adoption. There's a lot of documentation here that you guys can read through and get good information on what it means in more detail. Again, this expired, so all I'm going to do is update it. This is everything PeopleSoft. So you can come here and you can see all the new features and functions. This is the CFO tool. So what I'm going to do, and then I'll cut over to my spreadsheet, but I'm going to select HCM. We all know is one of the largest.
Peter, we cannot see the screen while the poll is on.
Oh, okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Karen Biravelli, who is our Chief Innovation Officer and one of the founding partners, was kind enough to tell me. I know everybody else is muted, otherwise you all would have been telling me. But again, here's the selective adoption. These are all the links that are provided in the presentation. Here's the detailed documentation for review, and here's the CFO tool. I prefer the classic version. There is a newer version. I don't even bother going there. I save this link. This is the one I use. You guys will find your own preference. Apologize. First thing you do is select the application. Let me get back to the home page. See, again, here I showed you there's two versions. I go to the original, and this is my starting point, and this is the link that I have created for you. If you like to go to the other one and explore it, just go backwards from this one to the home page, and they'll give you the option to go the other route. But again, you select the application pillar. That's the industry-wide adopted terminology to reference to HR, finance, campus, CRM, or other. And then from there, you select the modules that you have deployed. Certainly, you can skip a lot of these. What might be easier is if you select everything and then deselect the ones that you don't have or whatnot. But again, I just select them all. We have a global client base, so often when we're doing this, we want a picture. So I'm going to go for 9.2, the very first release of 9.2, and it gives you a drop-down selection. So it's pretty intuitive. I mean, and it's pretty easy, I'd say. And then you generate the report. Once you generate the report, let me minimize that. Okay, there we go. As I suggested, it's broken down by module. So all of these first bunch here are all absence management. It tells you the version that it was introduced in. It was 9.2.image2, 9.2 image 9. It says it right there. Then what's the minimum people tools version that was required for this feature function adoption, and then any known bugs with the number. And then it has some more detailed documentation. So as suggested, if you were a functional user for the module with an HCM of absence management, then it would be your responsibility, arguably, and or co-responsibility with this IT liaison to go take a look at the detailed documentation to further understand what's being offered. Now, as you can see, this took me directly back into the knowledge base for the what we had shown you in the beginning with the PeopleSoft Update Manager. So again, let me back up. And get rid of that. Okay, here we go. And then in some cases, there's even a video feature overview. So, I think that this tool's been around for a long time. There's been some improvements to it, but it shows you a lot. Now, with that said, I'm going to show you one more thing, and then we're gonna launch another question. And then as we go through those questions and you guys respond, please. Okay. So this was an analysis I did a while ago, but it's pretty much relevant. It was maybe a month ago. So we're gonna look in HCM. So what I've done here is I have taken all of the features and functions related to the Delta that I looked at, which was 9.2 image 2 to 9.2 image 35, and then downloaded them into Excel, kept the artifacts, and then created a summary. And so you can see I created the summary so I could personally, and for presentation purposes, which we looked at before, that's not going to work, huh? Get an idea of where the major changes are seen. Now, ELM, believe it or not, there's more implementations and installations and usage of ELM globally than there are of any other application on its own. Thought that was pretty interesting. But again, HCM, 153 overall for core HR, and then when you get into each one of the individual modules. So if you're an analyst and you're in core HR, you got a lot to look at if you haven't upgraded your system from 9.2 image 2 to current. But maybe compensation has less to review and consider. But the one point we wanted to illustrate is that this innovation keeps coming. There's new fluid pages coming out all the time. There's new features and functions coming out all the time. And that doesn't even count all of the, when 9.2 came out with 8.5.4, arguably not 8.5.3 tools, it enabled this whole slew of capabilities, what we called platform capabilities with the people tools enabled. With Forms Builder, with just a number of things that you can do in PeopleSoft now with the fluid, building out your own fluid besides what's delivered. So just a whole bunch of stuff, and if you let it go too long and you don't create this proactive process, then it can be overwhelming. All right, so I'm going to close out these things, close all my tabs, and go back to my presentation. Go back into presentation mode. Apologize for being a little bit clunky today. Okay, now, so I'd like to go ahead and release a couple more poll questions. But, all right. Okay. So next question is going to be on people tools, because what we're finding is not everybody's staying current on the people tools, which, you know, I can see quite a few folks out there still on 854 tools. So as you go through and look at that CFO tool, you'll clearly understand which features you wouldn't be able to even entertain. I'm going to go ahead and release a couple more poll questions. These are the telltale ones. You know, what pillar do you have? Oh, I guess I have to leave it open. What I'll do is, just to keep it reasonable, is, you know, give a couple minutes for each poll question, and it looks like we're topping out at 50% on that. So I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to ask another question, because these are things that we want to know. You know, for our managed services customers, we do this quarterly, and we also do, as a part of our Platinum service, we, you know, we've been doing managed services for City of Austin for 8 years now. We've done managed services for Alabama State for 5 years now. So a lot of customers, over time, we get to know the features and functions of the products they've released. A lot of these guys and customers we've done upgrades for. As a part of the upgrade process, we run detailed compare reports to understand what's been customized. Not always can find the detailed documentation around that, so we're often trying to scramble and recreate documentation with the business unit to get an understanding of why and how those things were built, so we can review them and see how we can get away from them. But what that allows us to do is we move forward with looking at new features and functions is to make recommendations. So a part of our highest level of service, we make recommendations based on our understanding of your usage of the application and the modules you have in place, recommendations on features and functions you need to look at. But what we're doing is we're serving in the capacity of a role that your IT unit or this liaison type person could serve in your organization, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a service provider. But we saw a need in our clients over 20 years, communicated a need in that space. So that's why we started offering that as a higher level of service for our clients. So a couple more quick questions here. I'll make this my last question, and then I'm going to go to the questions. So again, we'll give this a minute and a half. That'll give us 8 minutes left to go through the Q&A. But start queuing up your questions for myself and for our Chief Innovation Officer, and I'm sure he might have some other folks with him too. So again, we've been doing this for 20 years plus, and always PeopleSoft centric. We remain committed to the PeopleSoft market and all of our PeopleSoft customers indefinitely. And we're always happy to share knowledge and share information. We know not everybody has the resources to engage a service provider like us. So what we like to do is make ourselves available, especially with the current climate and the current environment over this past year we've all experienced, that You know, if there's something we can do to help, we even offer some free services for folks that are in need currently. So please feel free to follow up with me or follow up with any of my colleagues, and we'll be happy to set up a time. So a couple more seconds on that, and then I'm going to close it. I did have another poll question, but I want you guys to get your questions answered. So I'm going to forego my 5th poll question, and I'm going to close this one. Okay, I'm going to close that. Questions, please. Let's go ahead and open up to bring bug fixes. Okay, so we have a question. Yes, we can see. All right, so I'm having a little bit of a challenge seeing the full question. Arun, can somebody help? Oh, there we go. All right, please talk about 1099 updates for financials. Okay, I'm not sure, Ramesh, that I understand the question.
So, Peter, this is Kiran. So the 1099 updates for financials is, there is no separate special process. It is a standard PUM selective adoption process where we are able to, if we are only wanting to apply just the 1099 part of the update, we can extract and make it a package and push it through the stream, the SDLC stream. So there is, no separate process per se for 1099 from a PUM selective adoption standpoint, right?
Okay.
I mean, in campus solutions, you see, a lot of times the regulatory updates, you have to adopt the full image, in many cases, but 1099, you can actually extract the individual, select the portion, the 1099 portion of it, and create a package and apply.
Okay, Ramesh, if that answers your question, great. If you do have some follow-up, please let us know. I'm going to move on to, I'm having a little trouble viewing these questions in the drop down. All right, that just had your last name. Thanks for mentioning this. Okay, very good presentation. Can I get a PDF copy? Yes. Just send us a note and we will send you a copy of the presentation. More question. Very important slide. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for attending. We know you guys have choices and you're busy people, so your time's greatly appreciated. Arun, I need some help. Nice workflow. Great. Well, it looks like that's all our questions, but I want to give it a few more minutes. Anybody else that may have some last minute questions? And if I missed one, nice workflow. Well, I trained as Six Sigma. I never got my black belt or green belt or any of that fun stuff. Oh, got more questions. Looks like they're coming at the top. Can we see a copy? Yes. Yes, you guys can have access to everything. I'll even give you copies of the Visio templates that I used because I created them, gosh, 15 years ago as a part of the implementation project I was doing, going from a legacy system to PeopleSoft. And so I sat in a room with a guy for a week and my eyes were bleeding every day at the end of the day. So I didn't want to do that again. So I try to save that stuff. We're still on 854 tools in image 16, rarely use selective adoption to bring the bug fixes. Okay, very important slide, very good presentation. Okay, what I'm gonna do is, because I was remiss in providing everybody with my contact details, apparently. So we got a couple avenues for you. One is going to be to contact me directly at my email address, and I'm always happy to take calls. The other one is going to be info@erpagroup.com. Other one's going to be 727-421-3170. You can call me directly, 614-718-9222, or you can call our general line and ask for folks in sales or in the technical group, and you can get transferred over that way. Also, you can check out our website. What we have on our website is a number of case studies, testimonials from our customers who really enjoy our services and say a lot of great things about us. And then we have a number of recorded webinars. And those specific recorded webinars are going to be on everything from testing as a service, security as a service, case studies for rapid fluid deployment. That's a really interesting one. Again, we're super excited. We're a little bit PeopleSoft geeky though. You know, I get excited about this stuff, that the new capabilities with the underlying platform in PeopleSoft and PeopleTools is so fantastic that you know, you can do so much. So the ability to retire your portal and repurpose one of your applications to serve as the portal for all your applications is one of the things we cover in our case study for Los Angeles Community College District as a part of the fluid deployment. Something we're really proud of, and something you might be interested in to reduce your portfolio of applications and increase functionality for your end users. And it's all seamless, you know, where it's transparent to the end user where they're accessing the information from, but it makes your life a lot easier from an IT support perspective, at the same time benefiting the end users and how they access the application. Well, right at the top of the hour, yes, Kieran.
So I see a question from Nicole. We are trying to implement selective adoption for one module at a time. So yes, Nicole, this is something that we have seen, you know, especially you know, in businesses where there are peaks and valleys of the busy periods. You know, one department is extremely busy in one part of the calendar period versus another department. So we have certainly seen you know, that being implemented. You know, but whereas if you have a change review board or a steering committee type of approach that can actually take a look at the entire gamut of things at once, you know, that makes it little easy on people that are participating in the process. But you know, again, the beauty of selective adoption is we can actually you know, implement it the way it works for a given company. So, and feel free to reach out to us, and we can actually you know, dig deeper into what we were doing and which type of companies and which type of structure. So yeah, definitely we have seen the individual module focused selective adoption being successfully done at some of our client places.
Excellent. Thank you, Kieran, for your assistance and participation. Thank you, everybody. Again, we know you have choices. Your time's greatly appreciated. Please follow up with us. Take a look at our website. There's a lot of great information out there. And then we're always happy to talk to you in great detail at your convenience. Thank you very much. Have a great day.